Epsilon. The powerless Epsilon mutants are the ones most people skim past in lists, but their stories cut deep. Their mutations are usually non-combative, cosmetic, or downright inconvenient. Imagine waking up with extra limbs, purple skin, or strange growths that don't grant any real advantage. That's Epsilon. Some have odd abilities that sound neat, but don't help in fights projecting holograms of your thoughts or summoning lint. That novelty rarely translates to survival against Magneto-level threats. Characters like Beak or the archetype mutants illustrate the point: visible difference without combat value. Socially, it's brutal. Epsilons can't hide. They wear their mutation as a billboard. That visibility invites prejudice, bullying, and exclusion. Everyday tasks become exhausting performances of survival. Because of that exposure, many Epsilons withdraw or find shelter in communities that will accept them. Their existence reminds us that not all mutation is empowering. Sometimes it's simply another way to be punished by the world. Still, their resilience matters. Even small, non-violent mutations shape identity and community in profound ways. And that leads us to where many of them go for refuge. Delta, the practical edge Delta mutants, are often the unsung backbone of the mutant population. They aren't flashy, they're practical. Deltas enhance specific traits: intelligence, luck, prediction, or technical instinct. Domino's luck and Forge's innate engineering are textbook Delta talents. Not world-shaking on paper, but mission-saving in the right moment. These abilities can be subtle and situational, giving an edge that's tactical rather than headline-worthy. Because Deltas often look ordinary, they can move through society with fewer immediate threats. That invisibility is a powerful advantage. It also means their struggles are quieter and less documented. Delta powers reward strategy and movement. Domino must act to make luck bend. Forge must engage to turn instinct into invention. In many teams, Deltas are the problem solvers, the quick fixers, the steady hands that keep things from collapsing. They may make up a large portion of mutant kind, and their value rises in complex situations where brute force fails. But subtle gifts can only do so much when the stakes escalate, and the next level shows what happens when power becomes painfully visible. Gamma. Power Gamma mutants combine real battlefield impact with physical traits that can't be hidden. Their abilities are strong and often uncontrollable by casual standards, and their appearances, lilac skin, fur, tails, bone growths, set them apart. Blink's teleportation discs and Nightcrawler's acrobatic teleportation are incredible assets, yet both live with a body that invites fear or misunderstanding. Beast's feral strength and intellect make him a formidable ally and a figure who can't pass as ordinary. Then there are examples like the Blob or Marrow, immense power with a look that provokes mockery or dread. The paradox for Gammas is that visibility can be both asset and liability. They draw attention, they can save cities. They also attract prejudice and violence. That public image complicates moral choices. When you look monstrous, your good acts don't always win hearts. Gamma mutants often become symbols whether the public admires or fears them, and that symbolic weight can be heavier than any physical burden. Their stories ask whether being seen can ever be safe. Still, their abilities change the battlefield dramatically, and that tension brings us to those whose powers are powerful but unstable. Beta. Strength with a cost. Beta mutants live close to the top by raw capability, but their gifts carry drawbacks that make them unpredictable. Wolverine's healing and retractable claws make him nearly unstoppable, yet his body's constant regeneration is a life that never turns off. Rogue's touch could steal memories and powers, isolating her from physical intimacy for years. Gambit's kinetic charges are devastating, but require precise control. Quicksilver's speed saves lives, while overwhelming perception. The Beta narrative is about learning about taming a force that can be a blessing in one moment and a curse the next. That instability creates compelling human drama, relationships strained by accidents, teams held together by trust tested under pressure. Betas must reconcile destructive capacity with ethical limits. They often live with the fear that a lapse in control could hurt the people they love. When a Beta masters their power, they can shift classification and shift roles in the team. Until then, their lives are exercises in restraint and risk, and their struggles show how strength without stability is still fragile. From here, we move into the group that refines power into reliability. Alpha. The trained operators. Alpha mutants combine significant power with control. They're the dependable center of any team, capable in battle, but able to step back into civilian life afterward. Kitty Pryde phases through walls without trapping herself in the process. Colossus becomes becomes living metal and returns to human calm. Dazzler can transform sound into light using a strange gift with precision. These mutants can switch power on and off. That ability to choose when to be extraordinary makes them invaluable. Alphas are often trusted by governments, allies, and communities because they're less likely to cause unintentional harm. That reliability gives them social leverage and a measure of normalcy most mutants envy. But control isn't invulnerability. Even alphas can be pushed past their limits, and being steady doesn't remove ethical complexity. Training and discipline often define alphas, but their greatest asset may be restraint, the skill to use force only when it's necessary. That boundary between management and excess is where the scale breaks open, and at the top, it breaks spectacularly. Omega, where limits stop existing, Omega mutants live beyond ceilings. Their abilities lack an obvious limit: telepathy or telekinesis that warps reality, magnetism that shifts landscapes, reality warping at cosmic scale. Jean Grey, when fully tapped, can manipulate minds and matter across incomprehensible ranges. Magneto's magnetism can move cities. Franklin Richards can fold universes like fabric. Proteus and Legion have shown how dangerous unconstrained power can be. Omega status turns power into scale and scale into moral weight. Small mistakes could ripple into apocalypse. Governments fear them, cults worship them, and other mutants must decide whether to revere or restrain such forces. Writers have adjusted who's Omega as stories demand, so it's a living label that changes with canonical tweak. The true dilemma of Omega characters is responsibility. How do you live when your ability can unmake entire worlds? Their presence forces mutant kind to confront limits of law, empathy, and conquest. After everything, the most troubling question is not whether they can be stopped, it's whether they should be left to decide alone. That brings us back to the real point of the scale. The ladder from Epsilon to Omega is less a bragging chart and more a mirror showing how different shapes fate. Epsilon mutants teach us about daily cruelty and the cost of being visible without advantage. Deltas show the quiet value of subtle powers. Gammas expose how appearance and power collide. Betas dramatize the struggle of control, while alphas demonstrate the social power of mastery. Omegas force existential questions about responsibility and scale. Above all, the levels reveal something human. Power changes relationships, privacy, and community. It determines who is protected and who is hunted. The X-Men stories aren't just action scenes, they're explorations of belonging and justice. So here's the question I'll leave you with. If you had to choose, which level would you take? Would you trade anonymity for limitless power, or prefer a life of quiet usefulness? Tell me your pick and why, and let's talk about what these choices say about us.